Good evening and welcome to WION. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay, and tonight we are bringing you a very special interview with Reham Khan. She is the ex-wife of Pakistani politician, cricketer turned politician Imran Khan, and Reham is joining us live. Good evening, Reham. Thank you very much for speaking with us here on WION. Your ex-husband has just shared the news of his third marriage with the world, and you've called his wedding pictures, and I'm quoting, political suicide and cringe-worthy, which will end his dreams of becoming a prime minister. Why do you say that?
I say that because, Palki, it's unfortunate that Pakistan is now we've just escaped coming onto the financial terror funding watch list with the US sort of taking action. We in Pakistan as social activists, myself also, we want to eliminate extremism and radicalization of our youth from Pakistan, of course. And the sort of messages our political leaders give out in this day and age, it's very important. So I didn't make that statement as an ex-wife. That's not something that I'd like to be known as. It's really the sort of image we are giving of Pakistan and Pakistani political leaders outside to the outside world. And it is cringeworthy because that's not the way we want the world to see Pakistan. That's not the way the Pakistanis want to be portrayed. And I think many in Pakistan have felt that it was the way the picture and the way it's happened seems to be not a very modern, not best place for 2018. We felt that this is not an accurate portrayal of Pakistanis and Pakistani society, because people in India and the West must think that all Pakistanis are like this. And I can tell you, I live in Pakistan, that is not the case. And do we want this kind of role model for Pakistan? It has been politically a suicide, because we're looking at the other, the major party, the party that is in government at the moment. It's scoring, and these kind of misadventures are damaging the vote that PTI once had.
I'm just playing the devil's advocate here, Reham. You would appreciate that. And the fact is that this is also a matter of personal choice. And as Imran Khan puts it, because we haven't heard from his wife, his new wife, and he said that she is not going to be giving interviews, but he's called her his spiritual advisor. He said that this image reflects her purity. Why do you think people in Pakistan, the voters that he's targeting just months ahead of an election, will not be convinced with this argument?
Well, of course. I mean, marrying someone or marrying the way you want to marry, if you want to go off and marry on a beach, or if you want to marry in a court, or if you want to, whoever you want to marry, is a personal choice indeed. But I think in politics and even in the public domain, everything that I do, and I'm not a political leader or heading a political party, but everything is criticized, dissected and analyzed. And those who are going in to seek power, where power seems to be the driving force, they need to make some very good, wise political judgments. And I'm saying that in Pakistan, there are three kinds of vote banks. And we've seen very, very recently also the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf chairman tilting towards the right-wing bank, the vote bank. And they have not taken this news very positively, purely because the right-wing vote isn't into this kind of spiritual soothsayer or faith healer kind of idea. They don't like that. So he's alienated that vote bank. I'm just giving you a political analysis. So the right-wing vote doesn't like it. The liberals don't like it. If you go ahead and call liberals the scum of the earth, I think they don't take it very obviously favorably. And so you damage that bank. Then moderates, the people who are like center left or center right, they haven't taken it because they do not understand how a political leader trying to win the public over with a very, very difficult time ahead, these last 4 months, they see it as a non-serious approach, and they're very nervous about the fact that you're taking every guidance, political and of your actions via a soothsayer. So it doesn't, I think it's alienated three huge vote banks, and it is clearly a huge misadventure in terms of political sense. So it's not personal. Personally, anyone can do anything, but he's not, his life is not all, it is in the public domain.
It's interesting that you make these statements. You've been quoted as saying that he doesn't do anything without her instructions. She even set the date for intra-party elections recently. On what basis do you say that? And you've been married to him for almost a year. Did you have a say in political affairs in Pakistan, in his party?
I was criticized, as you know, for, and unfairly so, because I was never a part of any political decision. I was never a part of any political meeting. And I was completely, it was fabricated completely that I had any influence or indeed that I was interfering in anything. There is no evidence of it. There is no truth to that. But what you're quoting is not what I have said. This is the information secretary of PTI saying that, and the man himself also saying this, that he does not take any. This is not my quote. This is them saying this, that inter-party elections were done because of the spiritual guidance of this particular lady. The dates are set because of this particular lady. This is Imran and Fawad Chaudhry, their spokesperson, their official spokesperson. And there's several videos of this. There's lots of video evidence of this, of them saying this, not me.
Do you fear that whatever you're saying, your criticism might be perceived as bitterness from an ex-wife?
I understand completely, Palki, that everything that I say is going to be seen as a quote. But I think that people ask me questions, and the only thing that I'm perhaps guilty of is answering questions when I'm asked questions, and I'm answering honestly when people ask me about certain decisions. And I think that I can't forever be quiet, because obviously I have a political voice. I have a voice as a social activist, and I have a voice for Pakistanis as well, who I'm also in the public domain now. So I can't really be bothered about what people think. I'm really least bothered about why people think I'm motivated to say that, because a lot of people are thinking what I'm saying and are writing about it. In fact, they're writing far more harshly than I am. If I'm saying get your act together, that's what a lot of Pakistanis are saying. A lot of ideological PTI workers are saying this, because we see that there is actually no opposition left in the Sharifs anymore. There is no one challenging their position.
Do you think you're facing this because you're a woman? And you told me earlier that you were asked by many, you were advised by many to maintain silence in the interest of dignity, as they put it.
Well, you see, we always get this brotherly and fatherly advice in Pakistan and India, and I have been there, seen it, done it, and I think that I'm much older and wiser to take any more brotherly and fatherly advice. So yes, I've been told many times it is not dignified for a lady to be in the center of controversy, and it would be far more suitable for a lady to take leave from Pakistan and settle somewhere quietly and perhaps just have a relaxed lifestyle. I've also been reminded that I have 2 daughters of marriageable age, and in Pakistan and India, of course, even 14 is a marriageable age. So I've been told that my image will be destroyed, that my girls who are now of marriageable age, they have a future. I must think about them. And I want to tell all of them, and I want to tell the ladies in Pakistan and India also, is that, I think the only advice you need to listen to is your inner voice. And if you think you're doing the right thing, and if you think that you are on the right path, do never be bullied. I've been bullied, and I'm one woman facing a system, facing this patriarchy, and I can tell you that it's very, very possible there are logical, sensible people around. There is no need to be bullied into silence. And my daughters and myself also, we're strong enough to deal with it. So I think they could just do themselves a favor and save their breath.
Well, this cannot be easy for anyone, Reham, and your personal life has been discussed in the media. A lot has been said. Some reports have quoted you as saying that Mr. Khan was having an affair while he was still married to you back in 2015. How do your daughters take it?
I mean, this was actually the paper that has actually quoted me as saying that never spoke to me before and they are in the habit of doing that. I've since spoken to them. What I did say was that the lady, the gentleman in question who's married her ex-husband, as well as the party's official spokesperson and information secretary, are all on record. They have been saying that they have been meeting and been in touch for instructions regarding everything for the past 3 years. I have just reminded everyone that, by the way, I was there 3 years ago, and I did not receive any instruction from anyone except my husband. So I'm just stating the facts, that if I was there, he was in communication with another woman taking instructions from someone who's not his wife. I'm sorry, but I'm forgive me again, I'm modern enough to think that you should really have that kind of trust and communication with your own wife or your husband.
But your marriage, according to some, did end abruptly in 2015, and some reports also say, unconfirmed, that you were divorced via text. Did it have anything to do with the new Mrs. Khan? Would you call it a triple talaq?
I think the most curious thing about the date of the marriage and the date of the divorce being the same one, the 31st of October was chosen for the marriage as well as for the divorce. And I thought that was very mysterious, because it didn't make any sense to me. He could have waited a day later, because the local bodies elections were damaged because of the news. It was a huge distraction from the local bodies elections in Punjab. So a few hours later would have made no difference. So obviously a lot of people will draw the conclusion that there is some superstition attached to the dates, and the fact that the way it ended was, I mean, you'll have to read the book. If I give you everything here, Palki, I want to save some of the details of the third marriage as well as the dates for the book.
All right, your autobiography is coming up, and you also said that you have a political voice. Do you also have political ambitions?
You see, I've been long blamed for political ambitions, and I was blamed for political ambitions when I had none. And the reason I always stayed away from it was purely because the Pakistani law does not allow a British national to contest in elections, a thing that people have conveniently forgotten. And I'm a dual national, and Pakistani law doesn't allow me to be participating in active elections or in active politics. But I do have a political voice. I've not joined a party yet, and the main reason is not only my nationality, but what I've seen. I really cannot understand or fathom this idea that how can one person bring about positive change, because the system is so rotted. There is no space for someone like me who wants to do. Who has an honest source of living, who lives within their means of income, and we have no cap on the election spending that people use during elections. And the other thing which is more important is that I do not have a feudalistic background. I don't have financial lobbies like all of the others do, and I do not even have a lot of some of the brotherly advice that I've received also suggests that without a man, a woman cannot be anywhere in Pakistan. So at the moment, my political voice is mainly to bring people back to the fact that there is no grassroots representation in our parliament, not in the Senate and not in the lower house. And this is purely because there is huge nepotism. There are sycophants who will get seats, and people who actually deserve the vote or deserve the seat will be denied. And we can see it in the Senate once again. From the ideological party of change, we have seen the Senate seats given to people who are the highest bidders. One single seat going for 20 plus crores. And how can someone like me or a young man or a young woman compete or contest in elections when that is the setup?
And I come back to the picture, and you said that it sends out a statement. It's not just a personal choice that Imran Khan's wife has the veil and so on and so forth, and he justifies it. It's also sending out a message from a leader of a party, from someone who has prime ministerial ambitions. Do you believe this smacks of political stuntsmanship, especially from someone like Imran Khan, who's often described as a globe-trotting playboy?
Well, you see, I think nobody's missed the hypocrisy of it. And what I'm saying is also, which is very important, far more important than this individual or one party, is the fact that the image of Pakistan is important to me. Here I am trying to tell the world that actually, you know, the 200 million population is actually not misogynistic, not sexist. It's just a very small, select pseudo-elite who want to who bow down to the right-wing vote when it suits them, and who then turn to the liberal left when it suits them. And so I'm just trying to point out the fact that it's actually not the sort of portrayal we would want of Pakistan. The way I dressed, for example, when I was married to him, I was very conscious of the fact that I would wear only Pakistani fabrics or Pakistani, something that would promote Pakistani culture in a positive sense. And even if you look at the wedding picture, I know that a huge problem in Pakistan and India is the amount of money people spend on outfits, and everyone cannot afford that. So I was very keen to portray an image where you can look nice on a budget, and that there's no reason to be all sort of bedecked like that. And the message was very good. I went back to work to give an example that yes, you could be a political leader's wife, but you could work and if you have an honest living, there's nothing to be embarrassed about it. In fact, that should be encouraged. The Queen of Sweden works as a TV producer. That's a sort of image. That's the sort of role model one wants to be. This is the sort of role model we want to portray, so that our young women and our young men will pick up those things. And I was pleasantly and surprised and encouraged that a lot of people actually not only copied the look, but actually copied the simplicity of it. And that's and the fact that there's a working woman who doesn't carry designer handbags. I think it's a sort of thing that we wanted to encourage. And I don't know what kind of message is this giving that you want. I just think it's pretty uncomfortable to look at.
Indeed, Pakistan has a lot of problems right now, and that's an understatement. The economy, the issues with terrorism, the global image, etc. At a time like this, when a prime ministerial hopeful's marriage takes center stage, when salacious reports come out in the open saying the new Mrs. Khan's ex-husband saying that we had a happy marriage for 30 years, we had 5 children, and then this man walks into our family and then we were separated and so on and so forth. There have been a lot of reports. Do you believe this is a distraction that Pakistan could have done without at this time?
It's not only about Pakistan. If you think about the fact that there are 4 months to go to the elections, we have a political party in power that was actually has become much stronger. So we had only one Nawaz Sharif. Now we have Maryam Nawaz Sharif, who has been. People are being wooed over by her charisma. People tell me on the ground that we really like the fact that she's focused and that she's a woman. And you see, so I would disagree with you that actually the whole overall image of Pakistan is bad, because actually it's a very positive thing to see a woman standing up to patriarchy and standing up and being a symbol of courage. You can disagree with her politics, but people like that. People like to see her out there and fighting for what she believes, and courage is very admirable. But also it's again, I would say it's political suicide, because you are not only making this decision 4 months before the elections, but also at a time where you have been blamed for a lot of miscalculations and wrong decisions within the party. The recent case of giving the seat of Jahangir Tareen, someone who's been disqualified not only for hiding huge assets overseas, but also for lying in court, disqualified for life. Then you give his son, who is a nobody. He's just a young man who happens to be Jahangir Tareen's son. You give the seat to him. You divide the political party that you belong to, and then you have a crushing, embarrassing, humiliating defeat. And then the following week, within 4 or 5 days, you announce your marriage. I mean, it makes no sense. Politically, whoever is giving this advice, spiritual or otherwise, it is certainly not very good advice. And so it's sending out an image of a political party that is irresponsible, doesn't really think through political decisions, and doesn't even take into account what the political party supporters or workers want. For Pakistan, we're doing really well. Actually, the economy is not doing that badly. The China-Bharat economic corridor is doing really well. The energy sector is picking up. But of course, things like this and the fact that we've had a very uncomfortable history of democracy, where we've had a very judgery democracy, we cannot afford more anarchy. We can't afford any more emergency breaks here. So that's very unnerving. And the fact that there's now a standoff between the judiciary and the incumbent government is uncomfortable for people like for myself. For small to medium businesses, it's not good news. We are this constant state of uncertainty is not good for Pakistani businessmen, and it's not very good for foreign investors who wish to see us as stable and want to invest. So I think overall this has to be sort of controlled, and some very stable political decisions have to be made, but in the larger interest of the country.
Right. I don't know to paint it with a broad brush, and if we got into the nitty-gritties of what's wrong with Pakistan and what's right, it could take a lot of time. So that debate will be for another day. But what I want to suggest is that there's a whole narrative coming out of Pakistan. Bloggers are being targeted. The free press is being targeted. There are people who can hold the government hostage and hold rallies, and they have support from dubious elements. You talk about women and women coming to power and women taking center stage. Only a few days back, a movie that that is being seen as a harbinger of social change here in India, Padman, which talks about menstruation and what women in countries like India and Pakistan face, has been banned in Pakistan because this is a taboo subject, as they put it. What kind of message do you think that sends out?
Well, I mean, even in India, we've seen sort of a lot of, a lot of odd sort of, I would say they're absurd and odd and silly. It's ridiculous to criticize or to think that, I mean, for countries like India and Pakistan, where we seem to be very fertile, we're very happy to have 8 or 10 children per family. Why are we embarrassed about talking about something which is nothing to be embarrassed about? And the fact that they go to the extreme of banning the film is just ridiculous. And I hope that this is going to be the ban is going to be lifted, because it's the wrong message again. I mean, why are we being embarrassed about being women? Why are we being embarrassed about being the ability to have children? The fact that we are producing eggs, you're not uncomfortable about it when you're seeking to impregnate women, and that kind of silliness. I mean, I must also say that this is a very small quarter, a minority of people who are making these foolish decisions. Sadly, they're sitting in positions where they can do that. And they're facing a lot of ridicule in Pakistan also. The fact that you cannot speak the truth, the fact that if I am talking about writing my autobiography, I'm talking about my life. And there's several women like me. Since I've talked about it, I've had a lot of messages from other women who said that, I was about to publish a book, and my husband said that you're not going to do that because it's not what ladies do. And this sort of, I think this is why it strengthens my resolve that I must stand up for all of those people. This has to stop, this ridiculous behavior of crushing anyone who has a valid point, who is speaking the truth, or who is standing up for something right, and you just put a ban on it or curfew on them or give them threats. That has to stop. And this is why the fact that the bullying and the threats became, reached a ridiculous sort of, they were attacking my personal staff, they were attacking the staff in the office, and I took a stand, and I said, well, I'm going to do it even quicker than that. I could have waited a few more months, but that actually gave me more resolve to finish it and to get it out. And I think this is very important, not to crush anyone's voice. And I think that this the backlash has been huge because people have been exposed. Absolutely. That you will be threatened and bullied. So I think it's that there is a silver lining in every cloud. So I think you must see it positively. And as far as the film Padman is concerned, this is exactly the sort of thing we need in Pakistan and India, because we need to address these issues. There are lots of issues which are already being pushed into the dark and considered taboo, and sexual abuse, for example, or child marriages is one of them.
Right, Reham, more power to you, and I would have liked to continue this conversation, but I'm running out of time. So my final question to you, do you want to wish all the best to the new couple here?
Well, I think it's good news for Pakistan. I think it's good news for Pakistan because as long as Mr. and Mrs. Khan are busy, I think we have no risk of a political party that is still behaving very immaturely. There's no risk of them coming into power. So that can only be good news for Pakistan, in the sense that I think we'll have perhaps mature leaders taking center stage.
That's a very interesting way of putting it. Reham, thank you very much. Lovely talking to you, and all the very best to you.
Thank you, Paul. Nice talking to you.